The Flyers suck. That's the end of the show. I'm Adrian. Thank you. That's Caleb Weiler. That's Brian Wright. We're out. Peace. No, I'm just kidding. But we are going to do a show. Hopefully we have some viewers because the Flyers aren't doing too well right now. A lot of offensive futility on this team.
Yeah, it's not been good recently. I don't think they've scored more than 3 goals in their last, 50 or so games. And I know that's over-exaggerating a little bit, but definitely feels that way. Their offense is just nowhere to be found, and especially at 5v5. There was a stretch where the Flyers over 3 or 4 games had no goals at even strength. And they're definitely struggling right now to get the goals in the net. It's not good.
I'm struggling to watch this team. For the first time in probably 20 years, my family has had season tickets to the Flyers every year since the new building opened. This is the first year that I'm struggling to maintain interest in this team because they look like dog shit. And I'm not really sure what we can do to fix it.
Well, there is a trade deadline coming up, but let's stick to this right now. Let's talk about this power play. Because remember, earlier in the year, they were first. They were tops in the league. They were the #1 unit. But right now, they are 9th in the NHL. They fell to 13th for at least some portion of the season. I'm hearing my own echo. It's very annoying. And so they were 4 for 42 on the power play over 12 games. Prior to the last couple, they've actually picked it up in the last 2, 3 for 6 on the man advantage the last 2 games. So what has been the big problem on the power play?
I think the big problem is that Shane Gostisbehere hasn't scored a goal in 32 games, and teams are kind of figuring out what they need to do in order to neutralize the power play. The connection between Giroux and Gostisbehere, where they play catch back-to-back, is no longer available. You see that defenders are extending that box out towards the blue line so that they can't make that pass together. So they haven't really been able to adjust, and I don't know if that's a coaching issue or a player's issue, but they have not been able to adjust that power play at all. So the fact that Gostisbehere has been neutralized for 32 games and that nobody's been able to adjust really hurts that power play. Like you said, they've been at 50% over the last 6 power plays, but they just have not been playing well on the power play or at even strength. So it's been hard to come by goals this year.
Yeah, I mean, they've like you said, they've looked better recently, but I think having Gostisbehere struggling like this, he had 3 assists in the last game against Vancouver, which was nice to see. But when he doesn't get into the game offensively, they really struggle. And like you guys have said, the opposing teams have really keyed in on how to defend him. And so that leaves Wayne Simmons as your really biggest – him and Shen as your primary threats on the power play. And they've been able to effectively neutralize those 2 guys. And I think Claude Giroux has some type of injury that he's just not disclosing because he's been not very good most of this season, and there's got to be something else going on with him that nobody knows because he's struggling, and it's bringing down the power play. And I only hope that maybe they can put a run together here and get things righted so they can maybe make a run at a playoff spot.
During that Edmonton game, they took out Voracek in the first unit. They put in Provorov on the power play, and they've been 3 for 6 since. I mean, is that a move that you like? Is that something that they should do?
I think the reason they did that is because Konechny's out, and so the fact that Travis Konechny is being missed on the second power play unit, they kind of had to mix things up a little bit. I do like that look, shifting Gostisbehere over to the half wall where Voracek usually is on that first unit, then having Provorov quarterback the power play. I don't think his shot is as lethal as Gostisbehere's, but I think the way that Provorov sees the ice and the game as a whole is a little more advanced than Gostisbehere's. So you have your pros and cons there, and Gostisbehere, once he gets his mojo back, and obviously wire it from that half wall if they can get him the puck. So I like the new look power play. Like you said, it seems to be working. They're ticking at 50% there. We'll see how it goes. Travis Konechny's probably only going to be out for another week or so, and hopefully when he comes back, the power play can continue ticking if they go back to the old way that they were doing it.
Yeah, I actually like seeing Provorov on the power play. I think the more ice time he can get in more situations, the better. He's already become their best defenseman. He leads them in ice time, probably playing, 20, 21 minutes a game or somewhere around there. He's 19, 20 years old. He's already their best guy, so I think having him play the power play, whereas he doesn't quite have the offensive skill that a Gostisbehere has, but I think it's a positive thing. And like you said, Caleb, if they can figure out a way to get that Giroux to Gossespierre kind of cross ice pass one timer work, like the way they had it working late in the season last year when he had all those game winning goals. If they can get that working again, then they'll be in good shape. But I think they just need to keep at it here.
Yeah. All right. So what are they now without Konechny? They're 1-3.
I believe they're 2-3.
2-3. Okay. So I mean, obviously 5 games. I mean, how much of a difference can we see? But do you see without Konechny? Is there something missing?
Yeah, there's a pretty evident lack of speed for the Flyers right now. Because you replace Travis Konechny with Dale Weiss in the top 6, and Dale Weiss has scored, I think, 1 goal this year. He's been horrendous. And at least in putting up points, he drives play, and he's a good defensive forward. But he's not going to replace the production that Travis Konechny gives you, especially on the speed side of things. So it's been rough. They definitely miss him. They're not better with him out of the lineup. So it's been difficult to watch, but hopefully when he comes back, Weiss, goes back to the bench, we can kind of get those top 2 lines rolling again. The problem is the Flyers really don't have a lot of top 6 forwards, and like Brian had mentioned earlier, the Giroux hasn't been playing well this year. Simmons and Voracek have been great, but as Giroux goes, the team goes, and right now nobody's scoring any points.
Yeah, I honestly I can't even remember what you were at. Oh, about Konechny.
Yes.
I definitely miss not having him. He's got speed and hands unlike anybody else on the team. And I think once he comes back, then they'll hopefully get things righted. But the speed is definitely the biggest thing that's lacking here. Dale Weiss, he tries hard, but it's Dale Weiss. He's not great. Although it looked like he may have had a hand in the first goal tonight. That wasn't. But you can't replace a Travis Konechny with a Dale Weiss and expect to keep things going the way they're going.
Obviously, Weiss Food Markets is not like ShopRite. Not
exactly. Well,
not even close. All right, I want to talk a little bit trade deadline, okay? Because you guys are talking about lack of speed. There's an offensive utility, lack of offensive weapons. There's some guys you guys might be interested in bringing in before the trade deadline.
At first, I really wanted the Flyers to make a run at Matt Duchene. He adds a lot of speed, but the price they're asking for is a high-end D prospect, a defenseman in the NHL already, and a first-round pick, which is just way too much for a player who's never eclipsed more than 65 points in his NHL career. He has a lot of speed. Yes, he would be a great second centerman here. But I think at the deadline this year, the Flyers just need to sell and sell and sell. Get rid of Strike, get rid of MDZ, get rid of Schultz, just get rid of as many expiring contracts as possible. And kind of just move forward, You're going to see a lot of young guys come up next year. You're probably going to see Myers make the team out of camp. And there might be a chance to see one of Morin or Sanheim make the team out of camp too. So the players on expiring contracts, I don't expect them to be re-signed. So I think we should clear out that blue line, and maybe if we can get something for Weiss or for Reed, or if we can unload that albatross of Andrew McDonald, and, moving forward, that's definitely what we have to do. The Flyers will be a better team if they don't make the playoffs this year. I'm all about getting a higher draft pick this year for the Flyers. I would love some playoff hockey, but the way they're trending right now, they'll get bounced in the first round anyway.
I want to go to a playoff game in the press box, so I want them in the playoffs.
You can't get rid of.
They'll get there.
You can't get rid of Andrew McDonald because Haxtell loves Andrew McDonald for some ungodly known reason. But yeah, I agree. I agree. You need to sell. You need to try and sell as many of these, like you said, the Strites, the Delzados. You need to try and clear as much of this horrendous cap situation that Paul Holmgren has left us as possible. And since now on the subject of selling at the trade deadline, anybody calling for Claude Giroux?
I mean,
are we going back to this Claude Giroux?
Okay, well, wait. Just based on how things have gone here this season, looking at the trajectory of this season, how we're trending towards the Flyers have their own process. It seems every team in Philly has their own process. We've got a shitload of young defensive prospects. Giroux is heading down. Granted, he might be injured and not saying anything. But if somebody calls with an offer for Giroux that isn't outrageous, do you consider it?
There's only one argument for trading Drew, and that's when the defenseman core is trending at 23, 24 years old. Drew would be very past his prime. You're kind of looking at a return similar to what the Maple Leafs got for Phil Kessel. That was a late first-round pick, Kasperi Kapanen, and then a couple other just throw-ins. So he really just got 2 first-round picks for Phil Kessel. If a team in the middle of the road came and said, we'll give you our best prospect and a first-round pick, Claude Drew, I think Hextall's listening, but I don't think he's accepting unless his mind is blown away with an offer.
But if you're basically telling me his value is diminished because they can't get what they want for him and he's not an elite level player anymore, right?
Yeah, but why would you sell your captain at this point in his career when you know that his value right now is at its lowest? If anything, you wait for him to bounce back.
If you're going to commit to the rebuild, by the time they're ready to win again, he's going to be in his 30s.
Yeah, but there's no reason to sell on him now if you're not going to get full value.
Hey, we scored a fucking goal.
Watch your language, Brian.
Yeah, we scored. Somebody scored.
It looks like the refs are talking.
That's the guy who cursed.
Holtby's bitching.
All right, so they scored. So clearly the intermission.
It looks like Provorov's going to get the goal here. But
live updates from the Bitter Birds.
Yes. And Claude Drew.
Or it's going to be reviewed because Holtby looks angry.
We're going to get you guys in boxing rings soon enough. All right, let's before we end the show, let's talk really quick about Shane Goss's 3-point game. Obviously, there's been some controversy with him. He's been sat down a couple games from Dave Haxtell. So nice to see him have that 3-point game.
Yeah, it was absolutely great to see him come back from sitting in the press box a couple times. And, he came back and he had that 3-point game. And it looks like, just a side note, this goal is going to be reviewed and be brought back. It did not go in the net. But to go back to Gostisbehere, he did not, he wasn't playing well this season. To see him come back, I think it was his first or second career 3-point game. And it was good to see him out there. You saw the old Shane Gostisbehere. So I'm glad to have him back. I think he stays in the lineup. They definitely should sit Andrew McDonald more often. And it is official that puck did not go in the net.
Off the post and out. Not really even close, unfortunately. But yeah, Andrew McDonald sucks. I think they should sit him the rest of the season if they can. I like Gostisbehere. I think he definitely hit a bit of a sophomore slump this season, but it was really nice to see him get those 3 points against Vancouver. And as we've said, he's at his best when he's involved in the game offensively. I think part of the reason he's had some sophomore struggles here is he hasn't been scoring. He hasn't been as involved in the offensive game. And I think that frustration has led him to struggle on the other end of the ice, which then subsequently led to the view from the press box that he's had in the past. But when he's on his game, he's excellent, and I think he's only going to get better.
All right, I've got a theory on sophomore slump. Not really a theory, but basically when you have a great rookie season or tearing it up, what happens is during the offseason, all those NHL teams or whatever team it is, whatever sport it is, they have all this tape on you. So they know all your strengths, and they start playing, to your strengths and trying to stop that. So now Shane Gostisbehere, what he has to do is counter back and start beating those defenses. What does he have to do to counter back?
I think the problem right now is he's been missing the net a lot. So when he's shooting the puck, he's shooting for deflections. He wasn't shooting to get the puck into the goal. Every time he would shoot, he would miss the net wide, he would miss it high. I think he just needs to get back down to the basics. He can obviously still move the puck, and he can obviously still push the play forward. He's a great power play quarterback or along the half wall, wherever Haxtell decides to keep him for the remainder of the season. I think he'll bounce back. Like I said earlier, teams are really honing in on him for the power play, but he's a good player. He's fast, he's agile, he plays well with the puck, and he's going to continue to get better. He's in his second year in the league. He played 4 years of college. He had a couple games in the AHL before he got called up. So he's learning just like everybody else is. So as the team gets better, I believe he'll get better. Once we get better defensemen who are up above him on the depth chart, chances are that he'll be able to shine a little bit more because teams will be honing in on everybody else instead of him.
Yeah.
Not a ton more than I can add to that. I think you summed it up pretty well. But since you brought up the point of him missing the net, that is one thing I hadn't noticed a lot this year and last year with him, is that he was missing the net a ton. Now, like you said, it looks like most of the time he was shooting for deflections, but I feel like that became a habit, even when he wasn't really, and then it just kind of morphed into him missing the net way more, and that affects his confidence. But like we said before, I think he just needs to continue to be smart in the offensive zone, hone in on a little bit on his defensive skills, because that's the reason that at least from what I hear from what Hack has said, the reason he was sat is because he wasn't strong on the defensive side of the ice. So he's got to work on that a little bit. But as long as he's keeping his head on straight and directing the power play like he can, like you said, when they get more of these young guys in there, then they'll key less on him. So I think he'll continue to grow.
Okay. All right, let's do final thoughts. Let's get back to the game. Let's watch this game. What do you guys have to say before we go?
Final thoughts. The Flyers are obviously not a playoff team this year. It's pretty evident by the way they're playing. Yeah, they've had to deal with injuries a lot. Sean Couturier was hurt for a majority of the early season. Travis Konechny has now been hurt for about 3 weeks. He's going to be out for another week or so. And it's tough to be a Flyers fan right now because a lot of the team is trending downwards in a way. We had touched on Claude Giroux a little bit now playing as well. And obviously nobody's really producing at the pace that we thought they would have. They made that phenomenal playoff push last year. So it is. I don't think the Flyers need a full rebuild, but they definitely need a retooling. As soon as they get rid of all these contracts, I think they lose about like $15 million in cap space this year. I don't expect Hextall to make that big of a splash in the offseason, but we could see some moves that open up more for the Flyers to really start that youth movement moving forward.
Yeah, like you said, we've if assuming they don't make the playoffs, this would be the first time in NHL history, I think, that a team has won 10 games in a season and not made the playoffs. That says a lot about how they've gone about things after that win streak, because it's just been NBCSN just showed a graphic that when they won the last of their 10-game winning streak, they were 19, 10, and however many overtime losses. Since then, 9, 14, and like 3. So they've really been trending downward. And if we're following the trust the process of the other teams, I really think they do need to commit to, hey, we scored. They do need to commit to more of a rebuild, try to get more of the young kids up, Myers, Sanheim, Moran, like you said. This team as currently constructed is not going anywhere. Blowing it up is not necessary because you've got pieces, but they really need to trend towards youth.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the standings right now. They're 3 points behind second wild card spot. It's crazy though. You look at the differential. They're getting outscored by 25 goals. That's the third. That's the third worst in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, we have not been good this year. It's definitely frustrating the way that we just really rely on the power play. When that goes cold, no one's scoring goals.
Yeah,
so,
it's a miracle. It's a miracle they just scored a goal in this game in even strength. They're the worst team in the NHL in even strength.
Worst team in the NHL? I'm going to say no to that.
Statistically, in 5-on-5 situations, I think they're 30th in the NHL in scoring.
I don't know. The Avalanche have been historically bad this year. I think they're 30th in every single category this year.
Might be true.
That may be losses, which they would be first.
The Avalanche are minus 78 in the.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Holy Christ! They are. The Avalanche are 35 ahead of everybody else. 35 goals. Arizona is minus 43.
It's so bad. They're having a historically bad year. So at least the Flyers aren't that bad.
All right. We'll end this now. We'll let you guys watch the rest of the game. That's Bill Weiler, right? I mean, Fed Q. We are out.
Nice knowing you, Ersan Ilyasova.